Hey, it's John with Break the Board Sports. How you doing on this Wednesday? Sorry, been having some technical issues. Was out on Monday, so I do apologize for that. We're going to get in. Going to be a little bit of a shorter show here, about 30 minutes. Going to run through some things. Obviously, week 2 was carnage weekend in the NFL. A lot of people getting busted up. Obviously, in our Circus Survivor, we lost our last entry. We had the Baltimore Ravens, and as usual, Lamar Jackson folds like a lawn chair. Couldn't get it done as the Raiders beat them outright. In the circa millions, we went 2-3, so puts us at 4-6 in the millions. So been a rough go at it. The first 2 weeks have been extremely difficult, both college and NFL. Some tough beats, but also just not really good on getting a good angle with things here at the beginning. We did have the Vikings +6 there against San Francisco. They were able to grab the outright win. Had a couple other dogs that barked home. Obviously, Carolina Panthers, that was a horrible pick on my part. They have now since benched Bryce Young. They'll start the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, on Sunday as they visit the Raiders. Right now, they're 5.5-point underdogs. So going to post some other stuff on the YouTube channel today since I'm cutting it so short. Give you breakdown certain games. There's going to be a bunch of clips coming out, TikTok and X that we'll go through, but going to hop right into it. Again, week 3, big thing here for everyone. Teams that start out 0-2, right? NFL teams start out 0-2 are 26-25 straight up, but 35-15-1 against the spread. That's good for 70%. That's when an 0-2 team faces a 1-1 team in week 3. 35-15-1 ATS if you take the 0-2 team, and that's been since 2010. So listen, teams that fit that bill and fit that betting trend, the Ravens fall into that category. Right now, they're a -1 favorite at Dallas. The Titans -2.5, some places -3 over Green Bay. That falls into that. Giants catching 6 at Cleveland. That falls into that. Colts -1 at home against the Bears. That falls into that trend. Panthers catching 5.5 at the Vegas Raiders. That falls into there. Rams catching 8 at home against the 49ers. And also the Bengals now laying 8 at home on Monday night against Washington. So, again, in the NFL, week 3 since 2010, teams that start 0-2 versus a 1-1 team. The 0-2 teams, they're only 26-25 straight up, but 35-15-1 ATS, 70%. So you want to ride some of those teams. I personally, one of my best bets of the week is the Baltimore Ravens. As much as I'm mad at Lamar and think that he's not any good and overrated, and they should have beat the Raiders, and I'm bitter about being out of Circus Survivor, I'm going to wheel back with them and make up that entry fee as they go to Dallas this weekend, because I know Dallas is a fraud as well. Look, winless teams going into week 3 are 20-35-1 straight up, but they're 36-20 against the spread. That's good for 64.3%. When they're an underdog of 3.5 or more, that's since 2010. 3 teams fit that system: Giants, Panthers, Rams. Now, look, ugly dogs, right? You had overreaction into week 2. Now week 3, it's really kind of split, and you can see that in some of the betting trends with the money in the handle. We'll run through those here in just a minute on all the games, but there's a lot of 50-50 split. Bettors not knowing which way to go, and also when that happens, it's really hard to decipher what side are the pros on, what side are the Joes on, but it fits perfectly for the book, because when they get into that 50-50 range, again, they're happy if they just collect the juice. NFL underdogs to start the season as an underdog of 6+ points or more are 8-0 against the spread in the first 2 weeks this year. 8-0 ATS. And not only that, they're covering by 9.5 points per game. Just an unreal start to this, which is really frustrating for me personally, because I'm a contrarian. I'm a dog player. Problem is, I've just picked the wrong dogs. But hey, look, week 3, I think we wheel back. We get a winning week here, and we keep moving along. Going to Thursday night, you got the Jets hosting the New England Patriots. Let me get this pulled up here, get the up to date and refresh for you guys. So the Patriots at the Jets. Jets laying 6.5. 40% of bets on the Jets, 60% of the bets on the Patriots. Patriots, they're getting 57% of the handle, 43% of the handle to the Jets. Now, the Jets are 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 versus the Patriots. That one lone win come in their last game against them last year. Now, these both obviously two different teams. Aaron Rodgers way better than Zach Wilson. Though the Jets struggled at times Sunday against Tennessee, I still think there's a lot to take away from that, the drive against the 49ers. I know the 49ers rolled them, but look, the 49ers turned right around, lost at Minnesota. Again, in the NFL, it is a week to week. I still believe in the Jets. I know the Patriots fought tough against Seattle. We had New England plus 3.5. That was another home dog we had that covered. I'm not a guy that's going to go laying a bunch of points, but I do think that the New York Jets minus 6.5 is the way to go here. Aaron Rodgers is 24-10 against the spread versus divisional opponents in night games over his career. Just an astonishing stat on his part. Thursday home teams, they're 37-52 against the spread since 2019. So we always talk about how hard those games are for a road team, but it hasn't really trended that way, right? So you would say, John, you're kind of giving me more reasons to bet the Patriots here. Obviously, the Patriots, not only are the Jets 1-7, the Patriots have taken 16 of the last 17 meetings straight up, but they're getting the tickets, they're getting the handle. I do like the Jets minus 6.5, but what I'm going to do, and I think it's the better play, is a money line parlay for the state of New York. Let's go New York Jets money line, parlayed with Syracuse Friday. I love what Syracuse is doing. Stanford isn't going across the country in the Carrier Dome on a Friday night against McCord and company. Jets, Syracuse, money line New York parlay, minus 125. I'm going to put a double unit on that. I love that play. I think the Jets get the win at home, go to 2-1. I still think ultimately the Jets end up winning this division. And Syracuse has been a very pleasant surprise so far. So we're going to go ahead and book them along with that. Also in the NFL, running down through the numbers, Chargers at Steelers on Sunday. Right now, Steelers keep bouncing out around from a 1 to a 1.5 point favorite. Chargers obviously blew out the Panthers. I should have had them in Survivor. I should have just faded the Panthers every week. And then the Steelers, they went on the road, got the win at Denver again. Pittsburgh not scoring a lot of points, but you're not going to see the Steelers score a bunch of points, right? That's not going to happen. You're going to see defense run the football. They're going to play Mike Tomlin football. Pittsburgh out to a 2-0 start. If they can get this win, which I think they will, I really like Pittsburgh on the money line, minus 120. I'm playing it for a triple unit this Sunday. I love Pittsburgh in this spot. Chargers, I know they stayed on the East Coast, but look, back-to-back weeks on the East Coast, Harbaugh wants to play the same way, right? Defense, run the football. I just think Pittsburgh's running game and their defense is much better. Low-scoring rock fight. Have no interest in laying points here. Again, I'm the type of person, again, over the course of 21 years, I get a -3 favorite or less. I'm just going to play the money line, take the extra juice. Another team, another game here, Bears at Colts. Right now, Colts a 1-point favorite. They're getting 61% of tickets compared to 39% of tickets for the Bears. 60% of the handle on the Colts, 40% to the Bears. Look, this is a toss-up. Caleb Williams, he hasn't did what everybody said he was going to do, but the Colts defense is horrendous. However, I do like the Colts here to bounce back. I know we had them last week at Green Bay. It was kind of the sucker bet there, but I like the Colts here, -1. Instead, just going to flip it, -120, single unit on the Colts. I think the Colts get off the schneid. Remember, the home team here, both teams 0-2. I'll take the home team with what I think is the better quarterback. I'm not saying Anthony Richardson is head and shoulders above Caleb Williams, but I do think by far he's the better quarterback. Houston Texans at the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, the Texans at 2.5. There's a couple threes out there as I look, if you shop around, you can find some threes out there for sure. 60% of tickets on the Texans, 40% of tickets on Minnesota, 54% of the handle on the Houston Texans, 46% of the handle on the Minnesota Vikings. Right now, I'm going to side with the home dog here and take the 3. I love what the Vikings are doing. I don't think they're a fraud. Brian Flores in that defense playing super, super tough. Your over-under is 46 in this one. All the money, 72% of the handles on the over, 28% to the under. I think this is very much an under game. I think Flores and D'Amico Ryans' defense hold serve here. I think this is very much a 20-17, 24-21, 24-20 type game. But I do like the Minnesota Vikings here to cover the 3. Look, Houston was really lucky. They were playing a bad Bears team. And if not for Caleb Williams throwing the ball to them on turnovers, the Bears got a shot there at the end. Now Houston goes on the road. Minnesota, a tough place to play. I got to watch a game there with my brother Chop, and it just a tough place to play. So we're going to grab the Vikes +3. Again, you can go to breaktheboardsports.com, subscribe. Right now, we have packages up there. Not only do you get all of our plays 5 to 12, now we've been a little heavier than that the first 2 weeks, but we're going to pare it back now. Not only do you get all the plays and picks from our handicappers, but you get all the notes. What those notes are is they're going to break down each and every game and give you trends to go by so you can pick which games you want to play. Again, a lot of people just pick games they look at and say, oh, no, I like this or I like that, and they do no handicapping. You got to handicap to really make money over a long period of time at this. We give you the notes, not so you follow our stuff, but to help you become a better handicapper. We're all about that here at Break the Board Sports, is helping you be a better handicapper. Again, breaktheboardsports.com has all of our packages. If you can click subscribe down here, would appreciate the love on that. New York Giants, remember, one of those 0-2 teams facing a 1-1 team. We talked about the ATS numbers on that. Right now, the Browns laying 6, 68% of tickets on the Browns, 32% of tickets on the Giants, 51% to 49% is your handle. So about an even split there. I don't see this line coming off of 6. I think you're going to stay there at the 6, and that's where it's going to close. This one has taken a whole bunch of turns. Opened up. We got Eagles at Saints. This opened up Philly -1.5. Since the Saints have exploded and dominated both their opponents, and Philly has fell 1-1, Saints now, it's flipped from Philly a -1.5 point favorite to the Saints -2.5 point favorite. So a big 4-point line movement there. It's all Saints all the time right now. 70% of tickets on the Saints, 30% of tickets on the Eagles, 78% of money on the Saints, 22% of money on the Eagles. If you can catch a 3, I think you got to take Philly here. And I know that sounds, you say, well, John, how can you say that? Again, NFL stands for not for long. What you saw last week truly doesn't matter, right? It's going to move each and every step of the way. I still think Philly is the best team in the NFC. I know they choked that one out last week. And I know their defense looks susceptible against Jordan Love when he was with the Packers there week 1. But listen, though the Saints have blown out their first 2 opponents, the first 2 opponents are the Carolina Panthers, which I think we all feel pretty comfortable saying they're the worst team in the league. They'll be lucky if they win 2 games, right? I think we can all agree on that. And the Dallas Cowboys are the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, look, they had won 16 straight in a row at home. I think they're going to lose 2 straight in a row, right? We had the Saints last week. It was this another sucker bet. People, hey, Cowboys won 16 in a row at home. They're undefeated at home. Watch. They dropped it last week against the Saints. They're going to drop theirs at home this week against the Ravens. If they couldn't contain Derek Carr, they're not going to contain Lamar, right? They can't stop Derrick Henry. I like the Saints against the Cowboys, but now that the Saints are moving back home against Philly, I like the Eagles here, right? I think they get back to running the football a little bit better. A.J. Brown was out last week. Let's see if he's back this week. I like the Eagles catching points here. I think it's a field goal game either way, so I'll take the better team and the dog +3. Denver at Tampa Bay. Tampa laying 6.5. 82% of bets on the Bucs. 18% of bets on the Denver Broncos. Now, money-wise, a little bit of a tighter gap here. Bucks getting 60% of the handle, 40% of the handle going to the Denver Broncos. Again, 6.5. There's a 6 out there. Haven't seen any 7s pop up. Again, I know it's really hard spot. I wouldn't take Denver here, but I don't think I would lay it with Tampa either. I think this is a good opportunity if you want to put the Bucks in a 6-point teaser, or depending who you pair with them, if you wanted to put them in a 7-point teaser, or you wanted to do some type of money line parlay thing. I think that's the better route to go with Tampa in this. I definitely think they check all 3 of those boxes. But laying 6.5, I know they're getting a lot of love. But listen, again, are they as good as their record? Washington, horrible defense. Detroit, yes, I think Detroit, if they're not the second best behind Philly, they're the best above Philly still in the NFC. One loss doesn't change that for me. But Tampa didn't play well at all. I mean, Detroit was in the red zone 7 times and came away with points 1 of the 7. So, Baker, he didn't even throw for over 200 yards. I'm not a big believer in the Bucks here. I picked the Saints before the season because I thought everybody overvalued Atlanta, and I can't trust Baker to put together 2 back-to-back years in a row, and I definitely don't trust Todd Bowles. But I think Tampa is a really good partner here, again, for that 6-point teaser money line parlay. Green Bay Packers at the Tennessee Titans. Titans laying 3. There is a 2.5. If there's a 2.5 out there, I think that's something you look to grab, or even better, Tennessee minus 140 on the money line. Look, I know Green Bay beat the Colts last week. I know they kept the ball on the ground with Josh Jacobs. You can't hide Malik Willis forever. Malik the Freak's going to have to throw the ball. Now, look, I know Will Levis is no bargain, but again, we talk about those 0-2 teams, right? Facing 1-1 teams in week 3. Desperation. I think Tennessee finds a way to get a win here on the money line. Minus 140 is the way I would go. Right now, the minus 2.5 to minus 3 spread. Titans only getting 31% of the tickets. Packers getting 69%. Obviously, people much more in love with the Packers. Money's a little tighter. 40% going to the Packers, 60% to the Titans. But I do think Titans get the win here. Panthers at the Raiders. Raiders laying 5.5. 83% of tickets going the Raiders' way. 17% going to the Panthers' way. Money, 76% to the Raiders' side. Handle for the Panthers at 24%. I really like the Raiders here. I think if you had a survivor pick, it would have been the Raiders. But now that things have changed and you got Andy Dalton, I think there's no doubt that Andy Dalton is a better quarterback than Bryce Young. So I'm going to look at that and say, hey, I'm not going to lay the 5.5, but I think if you are going to play the game, the Raiders are a much better pick in a money line parlay or in a teaser. Miami and Seattle. Seattle laying 4.5. They're getting 60% of bets. 40% of bets to the Miami Dolphins. Even though the Dolphins here, they're down Tua. I do like the Dolphins catching points here. I think all the love's going to Seattle. And I know Seattle's 2-0, but I think it's a little bit of a fake 2-0 here. So we're going to go with the Dolphins on that side. Again, we'll post more stuff online, and we'll have more stuff here up on YouTube later in the day. Again, go to breaktheboardsports.com, click subscribe down here, and we'll talk to y'all soon.